What is going on, guys? Welcome to the Let's Watch Tuesday Night Football live stream between the Dallas Cowboys and the Baltimore Ravens. Let's pull up the betting percentages to see if there's any good value on this game. Go. Hey, Mickey. What's going on? Yeah, I gotta do the game, the under game still value or not. Let's take a look. Oh yeah, Mickey. Fat Guy's free tonight, so we decided we're gonna do a Tuesday night stream. We're also gonna be streaming on the on Thursday night for what is it, Pats Rams. Sarah Booth, I'm just pulling up. Manchester United was dropped from the Champions League today. RB Leipzig. Well, that's interesting news. The over-under opened at 45. It's been bet up to 45.5. I don't think there is much value on the over-under, Sarah Booth. Looks like there is a little bit of money, though, on the Cowboys money line, which is interesting. I guess we'll wait and see till kickoff. We got to wait to see what the talking heads pick. But I'm guessing this is going to be a no bet for me. Trying to see if they even have. I don't even think I'm going to have pre-game stuff for this game, to be honest. It looks like the broadcast just starts at 5. If you got Dallas at 9, it looks like that's going to be a really good price. The only place that still has them at 9 is DraftKings, and Pinnacle plus 8.5 minus 102. In the league where they play. Yeah, it doesn't look like a ton of value. Pinnacle's money line is 334. It's a little bit lower than some of the other books. Oh, they're at +9 on Bovada as well. What's the juice on Bovada? -115, yeah. I've never heard of Sugar House, but apparently Sugar House +9, -107. You got 9 at -115. Let's see. Did that line actually get? It got to 9.5 at Pinnacle. So 9.5 at -108 was the best price you could have got at Pinnacle. And then the best price on Baltimore would have been -7.5, -102. So it never actually hit 7. Sugar House is a creepy sounding book. It sure is. I've never heard of it. I can't even. It looks like it's from PA. I can't even get onto their site, so I think it's blocking me out because I'm not in PA. I'm thinking that that might be the reason why the Eagles have such uneven money this year, according to like the betting analytics from Action Network, and that's because of legalized gambling in Philly. So there just might be a lot more people betting Philly. My entire life is in the Sugar House, Mickey. What's AC? Oh, Atlantic City, yeah. It's interesting stuff. So for me, betting wise, the market for this game is there's not a ton of value. It looks like the best value would be on the Cowboys money line, and plus 334 up to plus 360 depending on where you're at. Is still that's a long shot. It's one of those ones where you're gonna have to go 3-7 in a 10-game sample to be up. Someone in the contest picked 19 for over-under for this game. I always pick 1 when I put in the picks for us. Yeah, laser kitties at 19. There's I just don't like taking overs. They've got 59% of bets on the over, 66% of the dollars wagered is on the over. The OU, at least at Pinnacle, let me pull it up here. The over-under opened at 45 at pretty much even juice, and now it's 45.5 over -112. So It's looking like the game's going to be over, but I don't know. I just can't put money on an over. It's very rare. Lamar is playing as far as I know. Let me just check Roto-World to see what the inactives are. Dez Bryant's been ruled out, so there goes that revenge game that we were talking about earlier. Ben DiNucci, Malik Turner, Anthony Brown, Donovan Wilson, Bradley Ane. Cameron Irving's out. Who are the healthy, like who's playing offensive line for the Cowboys? So Cameron Irving's out, which probably means Brandon Knight is going to start at left tackle. Yikes. Your book just went back down to 8.5 minus 108. Ben DiNucci's not playing. Hammer the Ravens. This is one of those games where it's kind of the same as when Washington played Dallas. Like getting Calais Campbell back and getting Brandon Williams back. Like this could be a disaster for Dallas's offensive line. Yannick Ngakoue is going to get to go one-on-one with Brandon Knight and Terrence Steele. Yikes. Jimmy Smith and Tramon Williams are inactive for the Ravens. Lamar Jackson and J.K. Dobbins are expected to start. Browns plays Wyatt Teller on reserve COVID list. That's not good for the Browns. That's he's going to be a player worth monitoring for Cleveland. Jalen Hurts is the starter. Campbell and Williams both return. Not much else to talk about. $11,800 bets on this game so far. Fat guy's around. I sent him the invite to join. Sometimes it takes him a couple extra minutes. Like he might be eating dinner. Mickey thinks he's going to be taking the under. Is there any reason why? Just because the money percentage is so low? It looks like there's more money coming in on the over. Yeah, they've only moved it up half a point at Pinnacle from when it opened. I mean, Mickey's on a totals bender today. Yeah, they definitely didn't move the line a lot, like half a point. It is, at least at Pinnacle, it's on its way to 46 though, with how the price is here, minus 114. That's all you need, right? Just the one win. It looks like we got the fat guy joining us now. Hello, football fans. Oh, looks like I've got to... Mic check 1 2. I think I can hear you now, fat guy.
Does it sound good now?
Yes.
Does it sound good?
It sounds stupendous.
Oh, that's good. I was worried.
So we are live. We're just talking about it. Mickey's 1 for 1 so far in his over-under hits. Untouchable just talking about how Mickey's on a totals bender today.
He's on a heater lately, too. I don't know if anyone's noticed.
Oh, yeah. Des Bryant tested positive, so there goes the revenge game.
Oh, no. Has anyone actually been sick who's tested positive? No one's talked about it. I'm curious.
In the like, as far as professional sports,
yeah,
it doesn't seem like it's been an issue for too many, but who knows what they actually...
Well, that's what I'm curious about, you know?
So, some interesting things for this game, fat guy, as far as... there's not a ton on market plays today. But from a handicapping perspective, for Baltimore, we're Cameron Irving is out. Brandon Williams and Calais Campbell are back. So that's going to mean
Those
likely...
aren't massive pass rushers, though. You got to remember that, Big Rye. Like, yeah, Calais Campbell slowed in that department.
But Yannick Ngakoue, I'm guessing, is going to have... I think he's going to be facing one-on-one matchups on the outside against Brandon Knight and Terrence Steele.
Should be good. You don't forget he's not as good either right now, but it's still that's...
Well, also the interior of Dallas is Connor Williams, Joe Looney, and Connor McGovern. It's not exactly like a
murderous row, as they say.
A strong interior. I have a feeling it could be bad tonight. Similar to how it was when Washington played Dallas. When Dallas had...
Well, they're not nearly as strong as Washington, but it's still, yeah, it's similar.
It is a very strong defensive line. Like you said, maybe Calais Campbell is a step behind. Maybe Brandon Williams isn't 100% healthy, so...
Well, also, too, he's not really a pass rusher anyways, right? But I'm interested. Let's put it that way.
There is 71% of the dollars wagered are on the over. Another interesting thing is even though the Cowboys have only received 33% of money line bets, 48% of the dollars wagered are on the Cowboys, anywhere from plus 300 to plus 360.
I think Dallas plus 9 is probably a winning play, despite those handicapping point outs. It is glaring though. Big Rise, I'm understating it a bit, but it is glaring. But I don't know. I still think Dallas plus 9 is reasonable.
Lots of money coming in on the over as kickoff approaches. It's gone up almost 9% money wise in the last 15 minutes. Yeah, fat guys on Cowboys +9 if gun to his head.
Yeah, oh, big time. I don't have a lot of confidence though in Dallas's defense, like the coaching, because it's like you could, if you're sharp, if you're a good coach, you can stop Baltimore, but uh, I I don't like Nolan.
Mickey's checking out the total. What do you guys think about the opening line video and the picks video this week? I think we went pretty long on both of them, but it looks like there's been quite a bit of viewership today, which is really good to see.
I'm curious how they were gonna feel about it. So hard to know what, like, you know what I mean? You're like, yeah, that was good. You know what I mean? Like after we're done.
Yeah. Well, I was even like I put in the timestamps in case people want to like jump to a certain game and just listen to that. And like some of the timestamps, there's like 4 or 5 minutes between games. And I have a feeling like half of the stuff we're talking about isn't even about the game itself. We just get on tangents about money management and the stuff that's like actually important rather than just picking a side.
Yeah. I like how that's not important. It's true.
People have been very confused lately when they visit our page. Like I see a lot of the comments are like, why don't you care about this or why don't you care about that?
I'm not gonna shill though. Like that's maybe not the right word. I'm not gonna. There's something disingenuous about like it not being not being candid. Let's say like just saying, oh, pick this, pick that. Like we have to move the. I said move the boulder or whatever, move the stone, and we have to start advancing it. You know what I mean? It's gonna hurt us with the standard fare of people, but so be it.
I trust Action Network. Uh, if whether everything's down to the exact right percentage point, maybe not, but for what we use it for, I think it's more than respectable.
Wow, I kind of like the under on both those.
What's going on, Ryan? How you doing tonight? What do we got? Coin flip is Justin Tucker is the lone captain, it looks like, for the Ravens. Unless he's out there to sing the national anthem. Ryan said he likes the Giants this weekend and the Falcons. Ryan, have you participated in our picks contest, the weekly picks contest? I'd highly recommend joining if you haven't already. It's a good way to like make your picks and kind of measure up to see how you do each week.
Yeah, they keep them for a long time, so.
We got the all-star crew on this game. Christina Pink, Troy Aikman, Joe Buck. Isn't Erin Andrews part of this team too? She's probably going to be doing the Cowboys sideline if I have to guess. Sounds like another perfect game to mute to.
Do the Cowboys sideline. Yeah, of course. I got accused of being a Redskins fan. Or
Mickey ends
they
up
have
on the
Spanish
under.
broadcast tonight. I'm gonna hit SAP on the remote.
I've never tried that.
I only knew about what SAP was because of Austin Powers 2 in the beginning. And then I tried it and it never worked, and I was always disappointed. Maybe I would have learned Spanish. That's how I learned things about the world. No wonder my worldview is so different.
Why, you've only been watching Telemundo?
No, what I'm saying, like, I learned life lessons from stupid movies. It's not a good way of going. Especially from Austin Powers, exactly. When we play Madden, I always felt that was the best strategy is to kick it like right on the goal line almost. So you can't so it's kind of like iffy whether you should return it, so you will return it and it'll end up in usually a bad decision. Under 46.5 Dallas +9. I can get behind that. That's a good stack actually. Nick Mullen sucks. I don't know. He's okay. Nick Mullen has in the first 12 games. You hear that stat?
That's
He's the
insane.
most passing yards aside from Andrew Luck and Patrick Mahomes. So
it's actually very impressive.
Yeah.
That would win you some bets at the bar.
That would, yeah.
I miss Andrew Luck too. How exciting would the Colts be right now if Andrew Luck's playing quarterback?
They'd be 15% better. Hello, Mud. How are you?
Hey, Mud. I think a lot of quarterbacks are going to struggle going up against Washington's defense.
Good enough against Washington defense? That's a tough one. Washington's defense came to ball. I just don't know if you're going to get that effort level every year, but every game I've watched them, they've been pretty good. He had concussions. He just retired because I think he was tired of the threat of injury was too much for him. I would love a 10-7 slugfest. That'd be great. We haven't seen Lamar in a little bit, so I'm curious how he's going to look today. I didn't love either side, Don, but if when in doubt, take the 9 points. Man, they got some bulky guys up front. Campbell, Williams, Derek Wolfe. So Bowser and Yannick Ngakoue as outside linebackers. I like Chuck Clark. He's playing strong safety right now. I'm a fan of him. Good run. Cowboys oil line is depleted. This is a better than I would have thought start, to be honest. Jimmy Smith is out. That's minor. I knew they were gonna run that. Nice run by Pollard. It's almost hard to tell the difference sometimes with how strong Pollard's ran. It's got to be against Dallas, though. Some procedural penalty, I would imagine. It's holding. That's not what I would have thought. Number 52. That's an odd number for an old lineman. Huh. I don't recall an old lineman in the 50s. That was holding? Huh. Oh, the game started. It's 0-0. Dallas has the ball. They're engineering a reasonable drive up until this penalty about midfield. No, a little bit shallower. Huh. It feels like it's been longer because it's 5 minutes and they've only moved 20 yards. Elliott wasn't even paying attention. What's going on there? They just ran pretty much the same play. 2 weird screens in a row. That was awful. One to with almost a wheel concept with Elliott, and then now to CeeDee Lamb. I didn't like that.
Well, it's been pretty clear so far. It's about getting the ball out of Dalton's hands as quickly as they can.
Yeah, but those almost never work. I don't even see how. Oh, they could have hit. Look at that. There was nobody out on the outside. Who was that? Dalton Schultz? She just stayed there. Whatever. You have to be aware. They did surrender, absolutely. All it takes is one penalty. That is the offensive plan of the Steelers in general. So, yeah, I mean, it's worked for them, but I mean, when you play a talented defense, it's not. It's only going to work for so long. I really loved that Washington game. It was awesome. It really was.
That Pittsburgh offense has a lot more talent to execute than the Dallas offense does. And the Washington defense, though, is probably a little bit stronger than Baltimore's defense at this moment. But Baltimore's just well coached all around.
Careful how you put that, though. They have a lot more talent on the offensive line. They don't have more talent skill position-wise. You could argue the best skill position team in the league is Dallas. You can really make that argument between Cooper, Gallup, and CeeDee Lamb. Those are top-tier receivers. And then Elliott is one of the best. So not that this has been really his season. McCarthy is a bum with a lazy eye, yeah. He can see behind himself. Probably. He's got cornea flexibility.
I guess laser focus isn't on his scouting report.
Come on, that guy. When did he play? Should be under. I mean, I don't know. It's one possession. Really hard to sell. It did take 5 minutes though, and it barely moved the ball. So that's interesting. I don't know why. Like, if you can do that, why don't bad teams do that? Take the longest possessions humanly possible. Lower possessions are better for bad teams.
Well, I think that's. I could think of one coach who's probably done his best to do that this year, and that's Matt Rule. I don't have the numbers in front of me on possessions per game or length of possessions, but I also don't know how many turnovers Carolina has this year.
What about you know who might be I think does that as well is New England.
Well, they've done it for a long time.
Yeah, but it's different this time.
Well, it's because they don't have the same personnel, so it doesn't always translate.
Yeah, but I'm saying like they're I feel like they're milking these ones as much as possible, really. Like they wouldn't mind. Like they tried to score quickly with Brady often, but I haven't seen any semblance of that with Cam Newton.
I'd be interested to see what Cam Newton's depth of target is this year.
Yeah, that would be a good
other quarterbacks. It does seem like his arm is gone with at least how they've decided to play him this year. Second and 8 for the Ravens. I think, Fat Guy, I think you're like 7-8 seconds ahead of me again.
I don't know how.
I'm not sure because I'm pretty sure we're on the same feed.
Right, I'm on CTV this time.
Yeah, me too.
Huh. I like it, Josh Allen. I like that. Minus 103 is awesome. Your win rate barely has to be about 50% to break even. I think that's a plus EV play. Anyone else like the Broncos this week? ATS.
They play Carolina, so no.
Yeah, I like Carolina. I'm biased on that game.
It depends what the price is.
Yeah, it does.
The price was what, 3.5 last time we looked.
Yeah,
I know Carolina has some a mini COVID breakout, so I'm not sure what's happened to that line since, or the market since. But it just depends what the price is.
Reduce the juice hours. Is there like a happy hour for that at your book or something?
Yeah, Denver, Carolina. They haven't even posted a line yet at Pinnacle. It's still 3.5 at other places. But I will say this: Denver is looking like a contrarian play at the moment. Only 31% of bettors on Denver, so it really depends
Josh,
how other people feel about that game public-wise as kickoff approaches.
Sorry, I got excited and I almost cut you off. It's a promotion basically to get in a bet on certain games. Promotions are great, fantastic. 103 is awesome. Suckers bet at minus 120. Tony is foreshadowing a Cowboys interception here. And there it is.
Big play for the Cowboys.
Tip drill. Who is that thrown to?
Hollywood.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I'm not a big fan of Hollywood Brown. Actually, really don't like him as far as... That wasn't really his fault. He didn't even put both hands up, though. Now I'm changing it. It's like you see the future. Absolutely, Tony. My favorite names, made up or not, Tony Meatballs.
That play is so weird because, yeah, I can do the live lines. It's just going to take me a minute to set them up. You know what's interesting about that play from a receiver's standpoint is that if Hollywood just sticks his heels in the ground there and gets run over by the corner, it's probably pass interference.
Yeah, that's true.
But instead, he kept running, and actually, as a corner, I feel like you could push a guy on his back there, and that's kind of what happened. And that's probably why he only had one hand up, because he was off balance. So he throws the one hand up. It's an incompletion. It's just weird how there's different things you can do as a receiver to
game the system.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice run, Elliott. God, I'm really going to like the Ravens against the Browns. That's going to be a big play, I think. Assuming we don't get any big injuries. Look at Campbell got manhandled on that. And Brandon Williams. You don't see that from backup linemen very often.
Not at all. That's why the only thing I was concerned about is how healthy they are. Because if Williams can get single team inside, that's not a good sign.
That was really nice. Dalton Schultz? Maybe not.
The picture on the stream's gone down for a second, but I'll have it up soon. I'm just setting up the live line on Pinnacle so we can see how this line progresses as the game goes along.
Why shouldn't Callie Dig be in the playoffs? Should be a good Monday night. You feeling due down for the Browns with the hat on? Well, that's the thing. I love when people accuse of like, oh, you like this team, you like that team. And my loyalty is to the dollar first and foremost. I don't give a shit if the Browns do well if it's going to cost me money. So I think it's a good spot to go against them, to be honest. I liked them this weekend. I did. And that worked out at 6. Yeah, but that's why you got to play all year, Michigan. It's not just 2 games. It's the whole year you got to be good. You need points. Points is what it takes. I threw you a favor. I didn't even start. I started 2 wide receivers that were out. It's ghost story night here. Don't worry, you're not missing much. Big Rye without his clothes on. And how did we? Is this any sort of surprise here that they're still settling for a field goal? I would imagine that they will. That's just retired again. Is that hyperbole or did it actually happen?
I'm sure it's hyperbole.
I don't know anymore after the retirement mid-game by Vontae Davis.
That was understandable.
What do you mean it was understandable?
He didn't want to play anymore, so he left.
You left mid-game? I'm getting my last game check at least. If I was Bills, I wouldn't pay him if he left mid-game.
I thought it was a real power move.
It's set the. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but mid-game, exactly. Finish the game check. Say you got a tweak in your leg, but I don't know. Don't leave during halftime.
These guys don't know how many times I've quit during a stream, but just came back a few minutes later after a snack. Yeah. You know, I had a Snickers, then I was fine.
Well, let's start. Would y'all start Woods or Cooks in a PPR this league? I'd have to look at it closely. At a glance, I would probably start Cooks because there's not that Will Fuller's a huge target hog. He can be, but I'd imagine that he's going to get a bit more touches, and they're.
Well,
I have a feeling
the Rams are playing the Patriots, so there is a chance that Robert Woods could be followed by Stephon Gilmore the entire game.
Yeah, but Cooks could have Kyle Fuller, right? You know what I mean? That's not exact. It's a lateral move, but I think it's tougher for the David Johnson doesn't have a 100-yard rushing game, and I can't imagine going against the Bears is going to be easy. So I think they're less likely to have success running the ball. It'll be a closer game. They're going to throw a lot. That's what they do to get success. I would imagine Cooks. I like those players though. Yeah, exactly. Fuller is suspended. He's not there. Receivers are babies. Jay posted one of Des Bryant's tweets, and that pretty much sums up how I feel about receivers. They're just wimpy. They really are.
The other thing too, Mister, if it's driving you crazy that it's that close to start Woods or Cooks, it really, like, if you had to start one over the other, I don't think it's going to be a big deal. And of course, like, one guy might put up 30 and the other guy might put up 0, but that doesn't mean that it was a bad decision. Like, it's going to be really razor thin. Like, if you had to play it a million times, it's going to be really, really close.
I like what Big Rye said. They're probably within half a point of each other on average. And don't beat yourself up if the result doesn't go your way, because it's honestly, think about it. If you had guys that I could spend an entire day researching stuff on it. I mean, this is kind of what we do for work, and I still probably could only find a minimal difference between the two, so I wouldn't worry about it. So, and he's right. If it's that difficult to choose, then it's that close, and there's no really wrong decision. It might be only slightly negative EV to go one way or another.
Here's another thing you can do. I'm going to see.
I actually said Cooks, Jay. I said Cooks. Woods is my boy. I love Woods, but I prefer from the outset. I prefer Cooks in this matchup. Me loyal to the dollar.
Robert Woods is 60.5 yards, and he's got a.
What's his touchdown odds set?
It's plus 133.
133. So how many percent of the touchdown is? That's about 5 points. And then, 133 is 133 is about 4.5 points. So 4.5 points plus how many? Plus what was it? His OU 60.
60.5 yards, 5.5.
That's 10.5.
He's projected to have 5 receptions.
So 5 receptions. That's 5. 4.5 for the touchdown frequency. That's 9.5. And then 60 yards, 15.5. Who's that? Woods?
Yeah, so let's come back to the Houston Texans. It doesn't look like Houston has all the props yet, so we can't do a comparison, but that's another thing that you can do. Just check.
That's the best way of doing it. Oh, big run and then a bobbled snap. Yeah, but the rules aren't who beat who. I mean, you might have beat Callie Digstem twice. He might have beat Mostert twice. You know what I mean? You could do that You could do it any which way. That's why there's rules in place. And you got to score points. That's the whole name of the game, putting up points, right? It's difficult. And if you fall short, you fall short. Just kind of life. Learn for next year. Hello, Dylan.
What's going on, Dylan? Sharp Dylan.
Sharp Dylan.
That had me laughing. I love
They
that.
disqualified the whole team because that guy did that. That's a load of crap, man. What a load of junk garbage.
What is that referencing?
The guy that hit the ref in college.
Oh yeah, that's. I didn't even.
Don't tip me off, Tony.
I didn't even think it was that bad.
What do you mean? He blindside hit a referee. That's bad, man. It's like punching a ref in boxing. It's the same thing. It's bad. You should get banned forever for doing that. I've done a lot of bad things on the field. I never touched a referee. I call him a cocksucker, though. What a run. That's a touchdown. Unbelievable. I think he hit his over already. Yeah, it was totally assault. They're not very good, Tom, and they that was a brutal call.
I thought it was funny, Jackson. I'm definitely the wrong person to.
Oh yeah, that's not going to move the leader for the. That's not going to. You guys don't know him well enough. That's not going to move the needle for him. Easy. That was a quick one, Jackson. Or Johnson. Ryan Johnson.
How do they decide, like if a quarterback gets negative rushing yards? You know, like on a kneel, they count it as -1 for some reason.
-2.
And then on, like if it's a sack, though, it doesn't count as negative rushing yards, right? Usually it counts as negative passing. So if they go wildcat, which is really hard to tell with a quarterback, and he rushes for a 4-yard loss, is that a -4 rushing?
I would imagine that's what it is. I haven't looked through every stat, but I would imagine that's what it is.
I guess maybe they can use linemen, like if linemen cross a certain point, whether it's a passing play or running play.
That's a good way of doing it. I didn't even think about that. Smart guy over here. I want Elliott to fumble.
He's fumbled so much this year that it would just be comical if it kept happening. Like, don't you think there's like an extra thing in Elliott's brain, or like coaches drilling it into his head at practice? Like,
It depends what the spread is, Don. Yeah, I mean, I think they're very, very, very heavy favorite to win that game. Mister, but the spread's a different story. It's 13.5 points. So I'm not going to bet that game, but if I had to, it would be the Jets. Yeah, Lamar had a very easy. I can't believe Van Der Esch, of all people, really messed up that. He's one of the stronger and smarter players on that team. Tampa 6.5. Well, it depends what that might not be the line that he's getting though, Ryan. You got to remember that. Because everyone has different availability. There's not one sports book. At 6.5 with good juice. I like Tampa Bay. You get the Chiefs at 6.5. Where'd you get that? It's 7.5 right now. Dude, there was like a tennis scream when Tucker hit that. Play now? Oh no, you have to parlay that though. That was a horse collar, I think, too. Oh, Dylan, here we go. Oh yeah, I lost one. Yeah, no, don't ever. Parlay is brutal, Ryan. Don't do it. Play now takes like minus 120, so they take some of the worst juice you've ever heard. It's a government website. We're from the same area. It's terrible. I don't think that. I think there is saltiness in that Michigan.
Yeah, Chiefs. That Chiefs bet's looking good. It's one of those things where if Mahomes gets hurt, though, like if Mahomes was out for the entire season, would you still want Chiefs to win 12?
3.5 points isn't disrespectful. We've been wondering where you've been, Dylan, and here you are. You had a good week this week. I'll give you that. I don't like sausage. You never knew that. I worked at a food or piece of wow, Dylan. For a guy that gets a lot of traction on our website, a lot of coverage, still playing the villain. Hey, how well did you do this year against the spread? I'm just curious.
He finishes strong.
Yeah, but how never respect Saints. I bet on them a couple times this year. He is alive. There you go. Here's a good one. Jackson is loving this, and this is some good market research.
I don't even know what you're talking about. 12.5%.
It's probably the chances that he gets even or something.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He's one of those guys that writes it on his locker. No, Josh, we're doing a market research. Dylan knows the real spread. We need to hear it from the horse's mouth. Dylan sharpened it up a little bit. He is taking Jacksonville in the points. I don't mind. I would get nervous too, Mickey. I would assume I would, especially you know the area, Mickey. So you've really got the inside track. That was one of my favorite things of last year. I was more invested in that bet than very expensive ones of my own. So Dylan, you think 7.5 is the right spread then between the Eagles and the Saints? Like, what do you think it actually should be? Do you think it's really bad to take the Eagles at 7.5 there? That's reasonable. Yeah, we all think that's reasonable. With Breeze out, yes. Wow, this guy's improving, Dylan. I'll have to give you that. So 7.5 points is okay. So at 9 points, would you take the Eagles? I don't know. That was a crazy catch by Gallup.
How about them Cowboys?
Hard to get against number one defense. Yeah, Saints defense has been playing great, but 9 points. 9 points, so you would take the Eagles. I just want to hear. I just want to hear what number are you going to take the Eagles? Because if it's 7.5,
he already said 7.5.
oh, I've been down to bet on Dylan. Bet with Dylan the entire. I prodded all week last week. He wouldn't take it. He's getting better. Getting better. I don't mind taking the bet of the century reigns from Mickey Hill. He did his part last year.
I don't
you
know
would
why
take Eagles plus 10?
Dylan, I don't know why you're mad at me. I just told you what the math was. And I don't think it was 12%. I think I said it was like 7%. But like I'm happy for you. If you could do it, you can do it. But I got no skin in this game on what you pick and how you do. That's up
I don't
to
mind
you.
being the villain. I'm fine with that. If we got to draw swords, there can only be one. No big deal. I don't know if mine's bigger. It sure is thicker, though. Cassone will have a funeral next year when I top him. All right, I'm gonna give you odds, Dylan. All right. We're making the bet for next year. You wanted to bet $1,000 this year. You wanged out on it. You saved $1,000. Let's bet it for next year. 1,000 American. I'll give you. How about this? I'll give you 4-1. I'll put up 4,000 to your 1,000. And that's for you to. You have to win the contest though next year. You say you're the best. I'm gonna give you a chance. Start saving now, Dylan. Thank you, Tony, for not tapping the glass. I appreciate that. What do you mean a lot? You can get like, I don't know, probably 4 out here.
Villain Dylan.
Villain Dylan, that's the best way. All right, I put out another bet out there. Didn't even get a response, but we'll there's a lot of time before next season. We'll see. Okay. All right, we got plenty of time to negotiate. I know it's hard to win the contest, Jack. I know it's very hard. No one cares. Guess who's winning fantasy this season? Yeah, you're doing well. You're doing well. I'll give you that. You're still what? Who has a better record, me or you, in fantasy in that league? I think I'm second overall. That one guy's 13-0. Yeah, Suck My Ditka is very, very strong in that league. He had the most points for and the least against, so I guess that's how you go 13-0. I don't need. All I need is garbage receivers. The rest of my team's loaded, Dylan. What do you mean they're garbage? Brandon Ayuk, Darius Slayton, Emmanuel Sanders, Jamison Crowder. I can get behind that. And whoever's on the waiver wire. Oh, I was definitely tanking in the Boston League. Yeah, what do I have at RB? Alvin Kamara, Chris Carson, David Montgomery, Todd Gurley. That's enough. Gus the Bus. Wow. Watson at QB. That's a win. It's hard to win a league with bad RBs. Or sorry, very hard to win with bad RBs.
You'd have to have the top tight end, the top defense.
No, defense has to. There is no top defense. You have to switch between it. So you have to guess right on that most weeks. You have to have the two best receivers and the best tight end and a good quarterback. That's very hard to do. Who are the top receivers? Devonta Adams, and I don't even know who's two. Maybe
probably Metcalf, if I had to guess.
Hopkins. Adams, Ridley, Cooks, and Woods. It's good. Yanda did retire, yeah. You probably have Kelsey, I would imagine. I could do that, Tony. Ingram. Gronk, that's it? Wow. Yeah, Keenan Allen on my money league I traded for some receivers. I have a pretty loaded team in a big money league. Not big money, a decent money league, but Big Rye's got more points than us. Big Rye and I are probably close to favorites of winning that league. I gotta play one more game, and you gotta buy, you jerk.
It's good for me.
Yeah. I like pistol formation. I run that a lot in Madden. I haven't played Madden in years. They've been so garbage, the last ones that came out. Madden 10 for PS2 was pinnacle. And it was like the last Madden game they released on PS2. Maybe Madden 07, that was a good one too.
I feel like Dylan's playing tennis with a wall.
Yeah, it's that sheet is really strong, Jack. I do think the Chiefs are better than the Saints, Dylan. I'm not going to be coy about it. I think the Chiefs are the best team in the league. I'm even going to go as far as to say I think the only really good team in the league is the Chiefs. I think the Saints are strong. I think that the Steelers are reasonably strong. I think the Saints are better than the Steelers, though. Disrespectful bum. No, I'm just honest about my opinions. I'm okay with you thinking the way you do, but there we go. Third and 8 short. I haven't had tortilla chips and cheese dip in a long time. That would be nice right now. Queso, is that what they call it? Or what's Mexican cheese? Oaxaca? Yeah, queso. Crazy idea. Imagine Saints vs. Colts Super Bowl, Breeze vs. Rivers. It'd be very interesting. Let's put it that way. I'd be okay with that. Colts are a team that's on my radar for sure. I like teams that don't have any eye presence, more or less. God, he really, really pounds that ball. Holy.
I just can't believe how accurate he is with every kick, Justin Tucker. Like
Yeah,
it
like it's
feels
like
like
right down the middle.
every one. Like it's amazing. Like watching Justin Tucker play makes me think of what is everyone else doing wrong.
Yeah, yeah. Because it's like easily quantifiable. You know what I mean?
Well, I guess it's
That's
not. Like if other guys aren't able to do it at the same rate that he
I'm
is.
saying. The results are easily quantifiable.
Yeah.
And then he misses that one. So funny. You put the
Did I just put
you,
the hex on him? He
you
missed?
did. You did do
Oh
it.
my god. Unreal.
Yeah, it was all your fault. Can you imagine being that like distorted reality that you think that you have like people are superstitious and think that like you know what I mean, this plane's going down if I don't touch railings in row G twice. You know what I mean? Like they think they have more impact on things that they don't. Yeah, it's going to be tough, Jack. It's to get good odds. The reason we liked the Packers from a math perspective last year was because they had worse odds than the Saints. The Saints had so much love last year that the Saints had better odds despite playing one extra game, which is just absolutely incredible. It doesn't make any sense at all. Point in case, that's the reason you know, Dylan had to drink milk with pubic hair because, the Vikings won on the road, right? Because they're only like, if you have a home game in the playoffs, you're really at best, what, 75%?
Well, it's going to even change now. It's going to be even tougher because there's really not a home field advantage anymore. So even having a home game is like blah. It's having the bye that's
The
important.
bye, yeah,
And
that's
there's
what I
only two
mean.
teams that are going to get buys.
But playing that, so like, what's the most you could be favored? 75, your 75% chance of winning?
Well, let's say a 14 win team plays a 7 win team. What's that going to be?
There are no 14 win team. You can't take that literally.
Well, we're in a fantasy world where the best team in my mind is always going to be like a 14 win team. I don't think anyone can be higher than that.
No, I don't think. I think that's even too high. But that wouldn't happen in that first round of that. Do you know what I mean? A 14 win team's going to have a very high chance that they're going to have a bye, right? Not that they're going to win a 14 win team could win 12 games, right?
Like I have it at, if there's no home field advantage, 12.5 is the biggest spread you'd have.
Okay, that's still up there. That's 80%. 80, 83, 84. Isn't 10 like the highest number you give a team for a playoff matrix? No. It's usually around 10. Let's be honest. You're 10 between 8 and 10, but I think there's a few.
We're
There
talking
are
about
sometimes.
those 12.5 for me is if a 14 win team played a 7 win team, which is kind of like what if there's been two teams with 7 wins that have made it in. So if it was a 8 to 12, it would be 10 points. So it's a on average or 8 to 14 I'd say would be 10 points. So and that's without home field advantage. It used to be higher when home field advantage actually meant something, and it still does for certain teams. So we're just talking about on average now, but I'm sure there would be a few other teams that could have a little bit higher.
Looks to be an interception here. I think he caught it. That's an impressive interception by Patrick Queen.
He got that?
Yeah. Like cleanly.
Wow. Live, it looked like he didn't even have a chance to get there.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
What did I think of the Johnny Football interview? He reminded me a bit like younger millennial goofballs who try and think how like everything's a lot deeper than it is. Wow, and there you go. Van Der Esch is having a tough game. That's rare. He's usually a really strong player. It's highly possible, Mister. I think 4 points is reasonable. Wow, Dylan is really coming out with some insults here. Do they have hookers outside casinos? Not around here. I can promise you that.
I'm just happy Dylan's back participating. He's been stewing on this for a while now.
Yeah, he's got a big hate on. Everyone's got to eat, Jay-Z. Were you working outside of a casino on Monday night, Dylan?
Dylan's putting in that work. He's getting that money.
Oh, he's got to save it up to lose it to me next season.
I don't know. I think it's a good way to what? You said you'd give him 4-1. He could quadruple his money.
Yeah, he could. He could turn his 1,000. I want to see the 1,000 ahead of time, though, Dylan. Maybe we can both send it Mickey Hill and escrow. There you go. Yeah, cup up, bros. Absolutely. You know what's weird? Like, I've done so many Browns rants, and I can't believe I haven't complained once this season.
There was a couple Odell Beckham complaints, but I know what you mean. From a overall team perspective, it hasn't been there.
Jack said it best: "Cup up or shut up, Dylan." I've tried to I've made you countless wager offers, all of them rebuffed, and not even a counter. Usually, that's how negotiations work, Dylan. You don't just sling mud and you don't counter. I'm trying to make you put $1 on your convictions. You don't seem to want to do that. I'm willing to pay hard-earned dollars and lose on them. Fine with that. I'm fine. I don't think it's crazy. I think it's good. Diva receivers do not help football teams. I did this one year. I went through all the Hall of Fame receivers, and they had less Super Bowl wins than every other position aside from special teams. Yeah, that wasn't a good throw by um, Lamar Jackson. Cowboys are still in this though. They're only down 4. I mean, this is a tough game, but well, Cleveland had. This is the thing. Why I'll tell you why Cleveland did it, Josh. Um, they fired Sashi Brown and replaced him with John Dorsey, and the Browns had by far the most draft picks and by far the most salary cap room. So he thought that he could afford a luxury like that. He got a first overall pick as well. So he just started spending money and trading picks and trying to build I guess, an eye-catching super team. Let's put it right. It's reminiscent of the 2010. I'm gonna say Eagles, and of course, when you get players like that, it never really works out, and that was the case. So, yeah, they had extra draft picks. So, and it was close to a salary dump. I to be honest, Josh, because they didn't want to. They couldn't get any value for him, or it would have been harder to get value for him if they didn't renew his deal, and that's what they did. And they didn't want to keep his deal either. Odell Beckham makes $20 million a year. He adds so nothing in value. Think about a good example of that is why rookie contracts are so good. Especially, not that I ever advocate taking a receiver in the first round, but let's just see a lateral move between the Bills and the Vikings. The Bills traded a first-round pick for Diggs. That first-round pick became Justin Jefferson. Of course, I'm using the best example ever, but Justin Jefferson's having a better season than Diggs, and he's making, I think, 1/6 the money. They're the best. They're the best, and that's where you should be dictating a lot of your later stage draft capital as receivers, 2nd to 7th round, I believe. So, they gave up 2 first-round picks. It's just unbelievable. I don't know who those picks became necessarily, but it doesn't really matter. That's insane value. Yeah, they totally did with OBJ, and the other thing too is those guys, they bring so much negative clout, and it's famous receivers just not, or mouthy receivers just not my bag, and I really really dislike stuff like that. And then point in case, the Browns are back now, and why? They have a good O line and D line. Like why is that? Why was it so difficult from the get go? Also, too, involved in that OBJ trade, they traded away Kevin Zeitler, who's a very, very good guard. He was in decline at the time, but I almost thought that was a bad trade in its own. I don't underrate Cousins. I defend him all the time. I just don't think he's a top 10 player. You're out to lunch, Dylan. You're picking fights that aren't deserving merit. And meanwhile, through my entire rant about Odell Beckham and flashy receivers, the 3 flashy receivers and Andy Dalton on the Dallas Cowboys have been moving the ball reasonably well. Mickey Hill is quietly crushing the the college basketball world.
Nice, Mickey.
I'm liking it. I can't wait to do it again next year. Get some data in here. Pine through the data. Provide more content. All the good stuff.
I'm doing baseball data right now, and unfortunately for us, it's going to take longer than we realized.
How could you not take Bumberbean plus 30.5 versus Duke Jackson? What was it again? I can't remember. I'm going to call it Bumberbean regardless. But
Jackson, I saw your name this week. I was laughing pretty good.
Yeah.
Put
Oh, he
that
put it in
Bumber
his name?
Bean.
Oh, why? What? God, the the member guys just get it. They know how to warm my heart. I did like that name Zitvono did though. Zit Homo has Falcons money line. That worked for me.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
What was that? Bumberbean. Oh man. They're an 11 here.
Dylan, I'm sorry to hear about uh, your living, your quality of living.
Yeah, it's tough. Joe's apartment over there. Cockroaches are talking to him. Oh yeah. It, well, I watched Airborne as your suggestion, and that Joe's apartment made it on my list because of that. So because it made me nostalgic. So I was kind of like, what other '90s movies do I like? My dad's method of babysitting was I, I think I got 20 or 20 bucks I think because I could get a pizza from Little Caesars and you could rent 5 movies for $9, so I could do both. And then he would bet on the horse races and I would watch the movies in the room right next to him. And yeah, so you got 5 movies for $9 for the weekend. And yeah, I'd always get the '90s ones. So Joe's apartment was one of them. Yeah, yeah, but mine was a former Blockbuster, and then it became a bunch of weird iterations. Wow, when I was a kid, yeah. And Little Caesars was way better back then. There wasn't the $5 pizzas. Now there's another miss, 40-yarder though. Interview with a Vampire. Probably the gayest non-gay movie that's ever existed. Interview, but I watch it regularly. Watched it one viewing this year. Quite good. Read the book too.
Fat guy, did you bet the Falcons this weekend?
Yeah, yeah, and I lost. Yeah, I did feel like it was going to miss Jay-Z, but we're still not out of this. Still not out of this. Hey, I caught a lot of flack yesterday about the Redskins on the phone. They're like, how could you bet on a team that can't move the ball against this defense? That was what I got all first half. Well, what happened then? What happened after? 20-3 run. Heat's in my top 5 of all time. All time. I used to fall asleep to Heat as a teenager all the time. So I've probably seen it over 100 times. And it's a long ass movie. I always had a theory that the reason all those guys knew each other wasn't prison, was really the military. Especially Neil McCauley and the tattoos on Tom Sizemore's character. So, Michael Sharito, that was his name in the movie.
Roland Walton stepping into chat to help out, get me a new calculator. I'm looking forward to this new calculator, Dylan.
Well, I don't know. Roland might be getting it for him. Roland, of course, the former CEO of Tim Hortons. This Roland troll thing is there anything better, more impressive than this one?
No, this is good.
Remember he cursed us and left? I don't know what you guys are talking about.
I feel like I'm supposed to be booking someone a hotel room when I hear their name, Roland Walton.
Hey, Roland, you ever been to any sunny states recently? Man, he really doesn't like our parents, eh? Oh, you only been to South Africa?
Where are you from, Roland?
Ram Ranch, South Africa, he already said. Uzbekistan. That was a crazy hold. Why did Xavier Woods do that? I don't think that was catchable, though.
Oh, they were way too early getting there. The Cowboys secondary.
What was that, though, from Woods?
He just mistimed it.
Yeah, but he took him down by his neck. He looked shot out of a cannon, J.K. Dobbins. Ravens are marching at the door again. This is a 2-minute offense.
Roland's from Uzbekistan. Very Untouchable said, very nice.
Very nice. The Tishniak Massacre. Let's do 10 minutes of silence, Jay. That was one of my favorite from the show. The Borat wanted to do 10 minutes of silence for the victory of Kazakhstan over Uzbekistan, and like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like this was during like a
wasn't it a rodeo?
No, this one was like a meeting. Like this was like a meeting in a room, like a city hall meeting,
Oh,
and they
yeah.
like the people really had to stand there for 10 minutes, put their head down. That's like it's like we don't even do that on Remembrance Day. That's our Memorial Day. I did 5 minutes this year, and I thought that was. I'm like, oh, this is a little weird. No, we'd love to use Python. We don't. The problem is we don't have any proficiency in anything like that.
We're I've been wanting to do it. I just haven't taken the time or prioritized it, I should say. But I've got it's funny you mentioned that, Jackson, because I've got the I've downloaded R as well as NFL Scrap or Scrape, whatever you want to call
Scrape.
it. It says Scrap, so
I thought it was Scrape.
so I've got it. I don't have any clue how to use it.
We're almost hoping that we'd come across someone who's proficient in that because there's a lot of ideas that could be come to fruition a bit easier. Mickey Hill 4-0. That's interesting, Jack, because that's kind of like the next level. That's how like I mean that's how Haralabob did this 10 years ago, but I mean it's still applicable today. That's how he made his model, which is probably still the best model that's ever been made. So Joey Bosa, I'm not sure. We were talking about using Python and other programming methods to enhance our data. So because there's I don't know that's the next level. So and Jack had mentioned that he has a little bit of basic R knowledge, so which is above us, to be honest. Is it halftime finally? Sorry, I forgot for a second. No.
I'm not sure. I know the Ravens just kicked a field goal, but I don't know if that's because.
No, I think there's a minute left. I want to use a bathroom, but I don't want to wait for this half. Or I want to go at halftime. Yeah, it might be the Samson effect for Herbert, but I don't mind the Chargers going forward. To be honest, they can't be any worse. Yeah, Mickey, that's what we were mentioning. Oh man, he almost had a chance at another good one.
Yeah, I was talking about that, Mickey. I've got it downloaded. I just don't know how to use it, so I have to take the time. I did find there was a guy who was doing some stuff on YouTube. It's just I never know, like it's a 2-hour video, and I never The thing that I hate about some of like the programming stuff is that people will assume that you have very, very basic knowledge on even like how to get it open and how to open up some of the data, which can be a struggle in itself at times. So it's just something that I've got to attempt and see how far I can get without needing to learn more. It's tough though, prioritizing, like how much should I prioritize R over doing some other things that I've been working on. It's that's where it gets tough for me.
Nice run by Elliott. They still have all 3 timeouts. There's a chance here. I think a field goal attempt is reasonable.
I feel the same way as you, Mickey. I want someone else to figure it out for me, but
Yeah.
no one's gonna figure it out for me. I gotta figure it out for myself. Yeah, Cowboys still have all 3 timeouts, so they could put up some points before the end of half. Who started with the ball? Did the Cowboys start with the ball? I'm pretty sure
recall.
Dalton started with the ball.
Still 3 timeouts. That's okay.
Yeah, Baltimore starts with the ball second half. They were 10-point favorites before Cowboys started this possession, so that makes sense. What is EPA again? That's like how many points? I forget what it stands for.
Oh, we had a model before, Dylan. It's a lot different than what's out there, but we're more interested in market data right now. Before we I don't know, try and rehash the old one, which still has a lot of application. I feel like I don't want to get into too much detail about it. We made it years ago and have kind of tweaked it over time, but we're more interested in market data right now.
It doesn't matter what model or system you create. It's only as good as the information you put into it. And it's tough because it's hard to... There's something called wisdom of crowds. And if the fat guy and I put our information in, it's actually going to be more accurate to get like 1,000 people to put information in rather than just our information. Because we'll have bias that 1,000 people... It's harder to have that bias in 1,000.
As long as it's decentralized. There's a bunch of rules for the wisdom of crowds to be true, but it's a theory I believe in. I'm doing well, Sarah Ruth. How are you?
I always love to bring up the jelly bean experiment.
Yeah, it's a great one. Where the average is usually a lot closer. Like it's like if you take 1,000 people picking how many jelly beans are in a jar. Yeah, I'll type it in here. I forget how to spell this guy's last name, so forgive me. I think I got it right. No, he doesn't. But it talks about how there's some leaps there. It talks about how like under certain conditions, people with no expertise whatsoever can their estimating skills as a whole become a lot more accurate than a small amount of experts. The examples they use are the jelly bean one, people picking a bunch of jelly beans, or for instance, as far as expertise goes, they used to do like guess a bull's weight or something, at like an English fair, And cattle ranchers, if you got 10 expert cattle ranchers, they wouldn't be as good as the average of a bunch of regular people. So, or for instance, what was the other one? Finding a sunken ship. That was another one that was very interesting. They used a group, yeah, like a hive mind. They used holy, that was holding at a minimum against CeeDee Lamb. That was beyond miss PI. It was at least a hold at a minimum.
Looks
Yeah,
like the
so
ball got thrown out of
they
bounds.
used a group of people to survey where a sunken ship would be, and they gave them all the same information that a group of experts would be, and they triangulated it to within a couple hundred meters, I think it was, whereas the experts were a few kilometers off. So, I mean, obviously he's going to use examples that support his hypothesis, but the hypothesis is that a group of regular people under the correct conditions, which I think are decentralized. I can't remember them all. I've read the book twice, but no, maybe 3 times. But even then, I can't remember all. It's been a couple years since I brushed up. Decentralization is one of them. You need an appropriate populace, and it's pretty much just about like people level out each other's biases. So Big Rye and I had a good idea that if we had, I can't get into too much detail about it, but you could have a model that everyone participated in, and you could get a result that would be very close to what actually would be realistic. So the problem was we never had there's just so many difficult things that were, part of it was programming, the feasibility of it, financial stuff, because that was very expensive back in the day, and also, and even getting people to participate was a bit of a stretch. So all of those things, everything's starting to come together now, and we almost find like, I don't know, like where to put our time first, but the channel is going to be first and foremost, and then we're going to expand from there. So it's there's a lot more stuff to look at now because we're adding all those other sports, so it's not just going to be football related. Wow, that was close. That was a good throw by Andy Dalton. Yeah, that's the thing. We thought like our friends that enjoyed football would be more I guess more interested, more or less, but we realized that it's probably better if we created our own, like if we casted a wide net and found people, and that's what this membership has kind of become. Everybody participates in the membership more or less. We got 20 guys that contribute. So it's been a wonderful thing so far. So eventually we're going to be taking the next step here. We got a lot of homework to do though. A lot. Finally going to get to the bathroom. That could have been caught by CeeDee Lamb. That's unreal. That was a great throw.
I think Fat Guy encapsulated that a lot better than I could, but he was spot on pretty much everything he said. I've been doing some data entry stuff today on taking information from Action Network and having it so we've got it moving forward. Because as far as I'm aware, you can't buy previous year's data on Action Network, so I'm collecting what we can so we can hopefully use it to our advantage one day, at least figuring out certain trends or things that we might not have been aware of now. Test how strong things are, like reverse line movement, contrarian plays. Like, doesn't matter how many people are betting a game. So you got to start somewhere, and this is it, unfortunately. Just putting in the data, collecting it all. Your buddy smashed his TV and PS5 after he died. It sounds like your buddy probably has a lot of money and can probably afford to buy new ones. And he also sounds like an idiot. So that's a guy that you should try to get bets in with. Yeah, Daddy might have a lot of money too. Or maybe he's got like a hot younger sister that's on OnlyFans. Maybe she can support the family. Uh, my wife's in healthcare, so she'll probably end up having to get it, if I had to guess. But it'll be nice if they can get enough data on how it affects people before they kind of give it out to the masses. Usually things like that take like 20 years to test, so I don't think people want to wait 20 years if there's a way they can get out and be relatively safe. DJ Moore got COVID this week. You can take it, but it's tough. I always thought it was too long. Like when I talked to one of my friends and I told him like, tell me something about like the medical field that I'd be surprised by, and he said that most drugs and stuff take 20 plus years. It obviously depends on like the country, so I'm sure there's a lot other countries that have it out a lot quicker, but I believe in Canada, like for some drugs it takes 20 years of testing before they even let it into the population. Des Bryant is crying. Like Des is, I don't know what his plan is here. I don't get it. Apparently he really wanted to play tonight's game. Yeah, Des Bryant is right. I'm pretty sure he still gets paid, right? Even if you're out with COVID, I'm sure you get paid. Who wants Terrell Owens? Yes, it's phase 1, 2, and 3 testing. Takes 10 plus years for supplement to get approved. Yeah, it's crazy. I'm sure there's a reason why, and it might be a lot of like legal reasons as to why that takes so long, but I don't know enough about it to really speak on it. It's all just guessing. All new supplements really are old supplements because of clinical trials. That's interesting. You tested a lot of drugs in the 80s. I forget that there's some sort of stand-up joke where it's like, I guess, I think it was an acid joke. It's like you do acid and it can come back and hit you in 20 years. And I think Norm Macdonald was complaining it hasn't hit him yet. I know the fat guy likes Washington. So it'll be but I know the line has moved down to 3.5, so it really depends where that line sits. I think at 3.5, there's not a ton of value on either side. I wouldn't consider myself a professional handicapper because handicapping is knowing what side to pick, and I don't think I'm that much better than a lot of people at handicapping. Like, I'm realistic with myself that I'm sure there's a lot better handicappers out there than myself. My strength is knowing like how to manage a bankroll and knowing how much to put on a game and being realistic. There's much stronger handicappers out there, and it's hard to consider yourself a professional handicapper even if you are good at handicapping. Like, it's one of those things where, like, anytime you're just giving out advice on a side, like, it's not the greatest. I want to provide people with like the right tools to make better decisions for themselves, more so than like picking a side and being a handicapper per se. Indian. Oh, like the percentage stuff is so much more important than like someone came in and commented on one of our videos recently, and because I guess I said like, oh, it doesn't even matter which side we take, because like even for, let's look at the over under for this game. So right now the over under on the live line is 50.5, but the over is minus 118 and the under is plus 101. So like the juice on that is so high. The juice on that is what, minus 111 on both sides, something like that. Maybe not quite as much. It's what, minus 108 on both sides. So already it's bad juice compared to what you can get on a game that's not live. Then you have to think, if you do like the over at 15.5 at minus 118, you've got to be right. What is it? 118 divided by 218. You have to be right 54.1% of the time. So like I could sit here and tell you guys like, oh yeah, take the over, and I'd be right 54% of the, or technically I'd be right like 52% of the time, but even then, like, I'd still be losing 2% every bet I make. So the expected value is like, the expected value over the long term on betting the over here would be minus 2% without knowing anything about either side. Like if I'm a square guy who picks 50-50, that's what the odds are. So you have to be right like 55% of the time to even break even on a bet like that at minus 118. So it's tough. Like shopping for lines and knowing those percentages are way more important than actually picking sides. That's why, like, anybody, if you were to make picks in our contest, in theory, you could come over here, you could pull up the leagues, Let's look at the NFL. So Patriots play the Rams. The Rams, Patriots are +6 -120, but it's 6.5. It's so it's 6.5. There'd actually be a lot of advantage in taking the Patriots 6.5 in our contest. It'd be -134. So -134 is 134 divided by 234. So technically, if you were in the contest and you had opportunities like this every single game, you'd be right 57% of the time. So looking at the contest, people would be like, holy shit, that guy's picking against the spread at 57%. But like, that's just literally the edge you have to the perceived edge of this game and how this line is moved, how the spread is moved. So it's one of those things where it's like, the contest is tough for the fat guy and I, because we're picking lines at the very start of the week and guessing what's going to be the right side. I'm pretty sure fat guy took Patriots. So if him and I decided to bet the Patriots at +6.5 when it was like a 50-50 game, now knowing that it's 57% chance of covering +6.5, like that's a 7% expected value that you wouldn't have had if you're betting even at closing lines. So when you really want to start talking about value, it's about understanding like how lines are going to move. And it's very, very, very difficult to predict how lines are going to move and where they're going to sit. Because if you could do like what I just showed you, you could hit at 57% for games that fit this realm. But it's tough. Like, there's also chances that you could have been on the Rams at -6.5, thinking that was a good play. Now all of a sudden you can get them at -6 +109. Really, like, the Rams are down to 5.5 now, without actually saying that. So like when you get down and how much you get down is actually way more important than which side you pick. Because it's most likely the Rams win by 4 or the Rams win by 7. And all these lines are just ways to help you make a little bit more, make a little bit less, depending on where it lands. So we have the second half underway. Baltimore's up 7. They get to start with the ball at the 32. Yeah, like team totals is in like how many points the Ravens are going to get or how many points the Cowboys are going to get. There's definitely like interesting things that you can do with those, especially with a ton of research. And that's usually why the juice is a little bit higher on some of the more like obscure bets that you could do like that. So there is a lot of opportunity, but knowing exactly, like it takes a lot of research. Welcome back, fat guy.
Hello.
So this is going to be a 3-0 for Baltimore. Dallas is going to get the ball back down 7.
Cook might have got nailed on this play.
Who got nailed?
Sam Cook, which is really bad. There's a chance of that. Oh, good. This is a great question. Swole Sports Picks. Nice flex on the name. Hi, you get it? Well, here's an example. Your break-even win rate when it's minus 110 is 52.38%. So to make money, you have to hit at about 55%. That's minus 110. Minus 105 is half that, so it's 51 point.
One eight.
What is it? 51.8. Yeah, 52 or 51.18. So right away, it gives you an extra percentage point of profitability, because if you're hitting at 55%, wouldn't you want to, like, you're gonna win an extra 1% of your games? That's a really big deal, right? Minus 120 is
54 something.
And that's the problem with that is at minus 120, you have to be one of the best, like a very seasoned professional, to be able to beat it over the long term, right? And don't forget, there's going to be high variance and stuff like that. So it's better to weather the storm with much less juice. And really good juice, I would say, is minus 105. Okay juice is minus 110. Anything worse than that is tough. And it's something that I stay away from like the plague, just because you have to be right so much more often just to break even.
This is where I like to look at the picks contest, because look at overall. Think about if people were betting minus 110 in our picks contest, people that have picked every game, 52 point whatever being the break even at minus 110.
Hi, Jack.
11 out of 164 would be positive. And one of those people would pretty much be break even. And then we have 10 more that would be making money. And you'd have 153 who would be losing money, including the fat guy and I. So if you were betting at Vegas, usually the VIG is minus 110 or the juice minus 110, we would technically be losing. With the juice at 51.2, it helps. Now we've got 25 people winning. Let me just go to the next page and see. Something's wrong with the leaderboard at the moment, but I can check it on here. Yeah, it's pretty much the 25 people you see on the first page are the only ones. So you'd have 25 out of 164 are making money, and you can tell how many are losing by the opposite of that. Am I still with you, fat guy?
Absolutely. I was just finishing a quesadilla.
No, it's all good. Just having weird problems with my internet, so I'm just making sure I'm still here. Have a good night, Jackson.
He's kind of showing you the worst example, but it's still a good outlook, because out of that 160, I mean, some of them have quit. You know what I mean? Some of them do have a better record, but it's a really small sample. And then also, it is every game, which is something that you probably aren't doing in the wild. But it does put it into perspective. It's very, very difficult to do, regardless of who you are. And that is Half Moon, by the way. Yeah.
That is a thing though. Like with people quitting and stuff, or starting late, or whatever. Like those are things that happen with the books, right? People making bets. Not everyone makes it through the entire season. Like some people run out of bankroll or decide they're going to quit after they go, you know, if you go 3-12 on bets, you're probably just not going to come back and bet anymore.
Well, I mean, that's a bad run even for the worst NFL handicapper. Nice first down by Dallas.
The Dallas offensive line is cupped up for this game.
They have. Cup up, bros. That was a nice run. I'm impressed with the lineman not getting any penalties called on him there. Because they had bad edges on some of those guys, but were able to use some sort of leverage to force them out. That was only a 1-yard game, but that was impressive to me.
Yeah,
a little bit. I'm okay with that, though. He threw it away.
Just looking at the average juice for baseball at Pinnacle is 102%, which means that you'd have to win at a rate of 51% or greater to win in baseball on the money line.
That's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot more feasible. And Swole, to give you a good example, the Nevada UNLV, University of Northern Las Vegas, posts gaming revenues in each type of gambling. They have to do it every year. Oh, holy. And the ones with the highest juice, no surprise, are the ones that make the most money. The sport they make the least amount of money on is baseball side betting. So like Big Rye said, baseball side betting has the least amount of juice of anything, and they make the least amount of money. They've actually lost money 4 out of the last 20 years, or 4 out of the last 30 years, I think it is. Yeah, since it's 1990. Yeah. 4 of the last 30 years they've lost money taking bets on baseball. So that shows you how competitive it is. Another miss. Tough day for Zerline. What's the live over under? Big Rye, if you could update us, refresh us when you have a moment.
47.5, with the under being -112. So 47 is the real OU right now. Riverboat Ron would have went for it on 4th down. Yeah.
Riverboat Juan. I don't think it's going to work out very well with the Latinx communities, Mickey.
I'll give it a shot. I don't know what to expect. I haven't done a lot of trolling lately, Mickey.
There's a new they're more docs heavy now with the trolls.
I think I do fine with a doxing.
You actually would, you'd be
There's
all right.
not a lot to find out.
You know what? You're one of the guys that might benefit because maybe if you were internet famous for something negative, no one would want to talk to you and you'd be better off. It's a good way to blackball, you know. It's a good way to separate.
She wanted to do that really badly, but it just never. She never ended up pursuing it.
That would make sense for you, actually. Wouldn't even affect us very much because it was you're set up maybe a little bit.
Yeah, but you can have a mobile setup. Might not be as good,
Yeah.
but I could do it.
We don't see each other anyways. Although I did steal a lot of equipment from Big Rye's place about a month ago, which has been quite the blessing, I would say.
Connor doesn't really make a value. Doesn't make a difference at all. Pouncy does make a difference, but
Yeah.
it's minimal.
Yeah.
Like maybe I don't know enough about who's replacing Pouncy, but it would depend on the difference between him and whoever he's replacing.
He already is, Tony.
I'm doing this. I'm definitely a trophy husband. If this is what I'm doing.
No, it wasn't a green screen. My girlfriend made it for me. I challenged her to do it. I just didn't want to. One of them was the one I wanted was $300, and I was like, ugh. I started getting frugal this year, and because normally I'm just a ridiculous spender. That's probably why. It's probably why some of my giant gambling scores have gone to waste. But I just refuse. I'm like, I'm not paying $300. And then she made it, and yeah, it's not the greatest thing in the world, but it does serve its purpose. So
The only thing you need is lighting. Once you get your lighting set up, you're gonna be good.
I'm gonna research that a little bit. So that I was supposed to do that this week, but I got caught up doing other stuff. Still moving some stuff around this room too. There's like Reno stuff in this room, so, and all my sister's garbage. She has it in this room, and the entire storage area is filled up too. It's unreal. She never even lived here.
The storage area, that is the best waste of money in the world. It's crazy how expensive those are.
Oh yeah, no, it's the one that came with the apartment. It's probably like I'm gonna say like a 5x3, maybe 4, 5x4. Sounds rad.
It's pretty much spot on, Tony.
My wife. Why doesn't Woods just sell out to try and hit him?
I feel like coaching is behind on what defenders should be doing on the sidelines.
Yeah. I got to give Dobbins credit. He's shot out of a cannon every time I've seen him carry the ball. Well, maybe I've just noticed it 2 times, but I traded that baby for an iPod. Is an iPod Nano? U2 edition. Hello. Traditional African name, OJ. Bruno. Bruno was great. Sacha Baron Cohen had to wait in a convenience store for 12 hours in Israel because he flaunted it in front of the Hasidic Jews, and they really came after him for blood. So he said that was the scariest moment of filming.
Well, he definitely puts himself at risk with some of the things he
For
decides to
sure.
do.
The Prince of Jordan, the country Jordan, had like the royal guard protect him so he could do like jokes on the public. So he said that was the most safe he felt, which was bizarre considering, it's Jordan. I don't like the idea of Brown running a drag route because what if someone just, you know what I mean? Like he's a guy you could just pound through the ground. How
Well,
much
it's
does
the
he weigh?
rules. The rules have changed this. Like, you couldn't do it before, but now you can because of how the rules are. So
I know, but wouldn't you just take a penalty and have your safety just completely annihilate him when he catches the ball?
I don't know. He's still playing, and there's a lot of guys similar stature that get to run over the middle now and make those catches that they didn't get to before.
Just bizarre. Yeah, it's probably Mickey. Justice Hill has so few. He doesn't play that many snaps. You can't have a false start. I like how the guy's wiping the outside of the screen.
It's just such an advantage for any team that has one of these young quarterbacks that can run with the ball. Like
Well, run like that. There's no one. He's the best at it.
he is the best, but even like Josh Allen, like watching him get outside of the pocket and be able to make throws, and Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson, like it's just you get such like he's going against Andy Dalton. Dalton couldn't have made that play. Like
Oh,
I guess
never.
technically he could, but it's just less likely.
Oh, what do you mean less like? It's impossible. He's gonna get annihilated very quickly.
It's extra hard when you watch guys like Brady and Phillip Rivers play.
Oh yeah, think about Phillip Rivers. Was that a touchdown?
What a pass. That was excellent.
That might push the over for Ryan Johnson. Kyler Murray's really good at that too. I just realized. That's a touchdown. I quite like Arizona, Mister. It's a '80s band, Mister Talk Talk. Wow, that ball was dropped right in a bucket. That's good intuitive nature. Take these broken wings. Well, Dylan, there's still a lot of time left. Yeah, but that doesn't mean they had a great show. Oh, you did hit it. There you go. 2 overs for Ryan Johnson. They were able to contain Russ, but it's like that was a really outstanding performance, and things particularly didn't go the Seattle's way. So I mean, I'm kind of expecting the opposite almost. I like Arizona because they want, like, you gotta remember, like, when outliers happen, like the Giants winning is an outlier. So I like the Giants. Don't get me wrong. I've taken them a lot this year, but I think that could have been an outlier performance. It was really astounding from the defense, and I think as long as Murray's shoulder isn't actually ailing him, I think Arizona has a reasonable chance of covering. Oh yeah, you gotta have, yeah, absolutely, Dylan. As far as mixed emotions, yeah. Mind you, though, it's all relative too, though. You know, I used to get, a $10 bet back in the day would get the blood going for me, right? Things are a little bit different now, but I mean, 100K bet, if he's a billionaire, I guess that probably isn't anything.
What's going on, Brett?
Hey, Brett, how are you?
Congrats, Ryan. That's 2-0 as far as your Hollywood Brown and Lamar Jackson props. Not saying it's over, just general wondering how mixed emotions you got to have on a game betting 100,000. Yeah, it's all relative. Who knows? That guy might have $2 billion, and it doesn't matter at all.
$110K, yeah. Usually, gamblers that bet really, really high, tend to have zero emotion on it, like nothing. So, at least the guys I know that bet very, very, very high, they don't even notice. They don't actually watch the games or anything either.
Yeah, I can relate. Not that I was betting that much, but there was definitely times where you could be betting a lot in a day and not even check the results. You just wait a few days and see how you've been doing. Not saying that that's a good thing to do. I'm just saying that if you are betting enough volume or enough money, sometimes you just don't even care. Sometimes feedback can hurt you, right?
Yeah.
Somebody said in this chat, like, I can never trust Lamar Jackson after week 3. Like, I don't even know what that means.
Well, it means that you're going to make a lot of mistakes because there's going to be times to bet him and times not to. That field is bad.
So Ravens up 2 scores.
Two missed field goals from Dallas has hurt them for sure.
Well, even Baltimore missed one. There's points been left on the board on both sides. Absolutely. 9 points left on the board.
Interesting parlay.
Well, this is a good game script if you want that to happen.
Yeah, I would say that's true.
Especially if the Ravens put up one more score, because then Not that Dallas isn't going to change anything, but it also helps with the Dobbins carries.
And he's had success today, so there'd be more. And they're more of a ride the hot hand type team, so I could see them turning to him a bit more. Why did Chuck Clark wait that long to come up to get Gallup?
I guess just holding his own. You might have seen a replay I haven't seen yet.
Oddly enough, despite I play poker with casino dealers all the time, only one of them's any good. Although he's really, really good, a bunch of them are just garbage. Which is odd that they're very gambly people for people that watch people lose for a living. Be right back.
Sounds good. Looks like we have a timeout on Baltimore's side. Their first of 3 this half. What juice is a no bet for me? It depends. It depends what I think my perceived edge is. But it's one of those things where, like, the closer you can get to even, the better. At like, what's our? I think we're like 52.7% all time. So you're talking about like anything over like minus 112 is probably going to be a losing play over the long term. But like, if you think you have a 60% edge on a game and the odds are minus 115, like there's still opportunity. But the problem is like you have to be realistic with yourself on like what's good, what's bad. It really depends on what you're playing. I do not play poker. I haven't played for probably 15 years, and that was just for fun.
First of all, it's not my cat. It's her cat. And I don't pet it, by the way.
Tough guy.
Yeah.
I don't think you're allowed to post images in chat, XBL, but if it's something you want me to pull up, I might be able to find it, pull it up for the stream. XBL, are you excited about the off-season moves from the Detroit Red Wings? We're from Vancouver, so they picked up. I think they picked up Troy Stetcher from the Canucks.
Big move there.
He's been fine. He's actually Troy Stetcher did an excellent job in having to play more ice time. Like he's not exactly like a top 2 D man, but he can play it if he wants to. Yeah. Yzerman is a nice GM. He really feels like he knows what he's doing. I don't know how much of that was luck in Tampa Bay, but it feels like he was ahead of the curve compared to a lot of other GMs. Have they come out with a date when the NHL is going to return? I don't believe they have they? Yeah, no kidding. Tampa definitely owes that to Yzerman for putting that team together. The NHL is saying that it's going to cost the teams about $150 million each if they play without fans. I have a hard time believing that.
Yeah, same here. I've soured on him a bit, Dylan. I used to think he was. I just don't think he's as interested in football. That's my guess. I don't actually know. I don't know Ezekiel Elliott to make that call, but he seems dejected to me a lot. Nice agility from. I don't know. He's probably getting paid too much, but I say that about every running back that's high paid. I think is overpaid.
Well, to me, it was like a no doubt 100% Le'Veon Bell was the best running back in football for a couple of years, and look at him now. Like, the guy is like an afterthought on the Kansas City Chiefs.
Almost putting it mildly.
But like, to me, Elliott has like the same thing going on as like what Carson Wentz has in Philly. They had the benefit of excellent offensive line play for the start of their careers, and it definitely helped them get
gives you confidence.
Yeah, the confidence as well. Do you remember when like Elliott used to like celebrate after every run? And not saying that I like that, but it feels like, I think I know what the fat guy's saying about, just doesn't feel the same for him. It doesn't feel like his heart's in it. Which
Bell was like that a lot too. He could have passed to CeeDee Lamb in the flat there on the second down play.
Pollard's played a lot harder than Elliott, I feel like.
Yeah, harder, yeah. I don't know if it's better. Yeah, it's better. He's killed on the ball more.
The one thing you don't know about running backs is how much they're affected by injury.
Yeah, they play all year with them, so.
Hard to be motivated to get in the cold. You're in the warm. Yeah. Could be the McCarthy effect. That's true. Like, McCarthy just might not know how to get the most out of him. Until Jerry hires a football guy to run his operations, this is what you get. I don't think there's anything wrong with that criticism. If you listen to the Lions players about Patricia after his departure, pretty interesting, the negativity that the players felt under his rule. Totally. Yep. There's like, that's why, like, to me, that guy is Mike Vrabel. Like, I don't think Mike Vrabel is some like genius X's and O guy or anything like that. But like, I feel like Mike Vrabel, like, guys play hard for Vrabel.
Yeah. Well, also too, though, I think he's done some pretty good. I'll tell you what, he's not afraid of making a questionable or tough decision that on the outset looks not right necessarily. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Tomlin's another guy.
Yeah, like because some of the strategies the Titans have used have been I don't know what the term would be here. Not interesting necessarily, but like um,
Maybe
just
player
out of the
friendly.
ordinary.
Would you say player friendly?
Well, no, I mean like when they last time they played Baltimore, the strategy they used when they played Baltimore in the playoffs, the ones where the corners would check off of the receivers and turn back to the flats and zone, and then crowd those outside lanes for Jackson. Like that was pretty revolutionary, I thought. And like they've just had some, even the time management stuff that they had, for instance, with who was it against Houston where he bought himself extra time, which won the game. I don't know. I feel like he listens, which is really listening is an underutilized or underrated talent. So he trusts the guys that are around him. So maybe he doesn't have to be complete X's and O's, but some of the guys around him are.
Well, that's the thing. Like that's what I feel like Pittsburgh is. Not to say that Tomlin isn't an excellent coach because he's done really well, but it's like getting like you're kind of like the heartbeat of the team at times, and like how you lead and how you can get the most out of a player usually falls on the head coach. I find more than any other coach, and you can kind of leave like the strategy and some of the other stuff to like game planning and stuff up to the assistant coaches or coordinators.
Well, Dallas just missed a field goal again, so that's the third one for Zerline.
That's tough. It's tough to win games.
Tough to cover spreads. And Patrick Ricard laying the boom there.
Pete Carroll's another very interesting one. Can you think of a guy who's gotten more out of like obscure fifth and sixth round picks than a guy like Carroll? And like I don't know how much of it's luck. I don't know how much of that is like Carroll just getting guys hyped up, but
It's tough to figure out someone that has been more effective in that department. Oh, I thought there was almost a fumble at the end of that.
second and one for Baltimore. I like that Dobbins switched hands. Not a lot of, surprisingly enough, not a lot of players switch hands on a play like that.
It's true. Dobbins has 8 rushing.
Yeah, I like that the talent or philosophy. The like the margin of difference between skill and talent for a lot of NFL players. Like obviously not Lamar Jackson. Like Lamar Jackson is a unique special player, but even a guy like Ezekiel Elliott, like yeah, maybe Elliott was considered at one time the best running back in football, but like if he doesn't show up mentally ready, prepared to play, as far as like how jacked up or how psyched you are to play a game, like it just doesn't matter. Like so much of the game is mental. Sports psychology. There's a lot of interesting stuff about that. I'm surprised we don't hear more about sports psychologists actually leaking out into the media, but it's I'm sure something that is taken very, very seriously behind the scenes. Well, like every person in the NFL is talented. They're talented in some way to make it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one thing XBL I will say is that like Baltimore has there's no incentive to keep him in. Like they want to keep all these guys fresh for if or when they make the playoffs.
Oh, you should have informed Baltimore about your parlay ahead of time.
I'm just looking over baseball stuff. Apparently, on August 30th, the Yankees and Mets played a doubleheader, and both teams got one home game each.
That's funny. Canadian making the stop, Neville Gallimore.
XBL, how many more carries do you need from Dobbins? How many more catches from Schultz?
It's going to be tough.
4 carries, 2 catches. And Schultz needs 12 yards.
The way he threw that ball, I thought it was going to be a touchdown. Sometimes when you see that confidence when they step in, because you can't see like where it's going, but you just feel it. I thought that was it. I don't like this angle. Tucker stepped up to it. It looked weird, but it's JT right through the uprights. Holy. Yeah, Lamar rusty. Lamar's still winning, though. His legs have been pretty good this game.
Yeah, I thought he's played pretty well. Although, like, I have been working as this game has gone along, so I haven't watched it as closely as some of you guys have.
Over lifetime, Swole, yes.
Uh, the answer for football is definitely for the NFL.
Other no, historically for me in hockey has been garbage, but I don't bet very much hockey. That's the best. That's the most honest I can be about that.
But even like I've said to other people, like mismanaging bankroll, like even if you hit at a winning percentage, like we've had losing years where the bankroll just isn't measured properly. Like years
'Cause
where
we use
we've gone like 60% and lost money. So
and
it's
had bad because of we chose bad unit sizing the whole year. So that's only half the battle.
it's
I sound
also
like
a
a
reason why
GI
Kelly.
Joe PSA.
Yeah, well, it's also like a reason why we're always hesitant to recommend Kelly Criterion, even though it's considered one of the better methods to use. But you also have to be very, very.
Well, part of our issue that year is I don't think we understood what our edge was. We overestimated it in the second half.
Yeah, well, because we went off of our actual results rather than what the results should have been.
Kelly Criterion is a gambling system as far as how much you bet based on the size of your bankroll and the amount of perceived advantage that you have. And
I've got it up here, so you can kind of see. Here's an example. Let's say you have a bankroll of $10,000, and you're betting at Pinnacle, so you're getting minus 105 odds. And let's say, like Fat Guy and I were 50. Let's say 53%. We'll round up. Bets have to be $1. The minimum bet allowed is 10. We're gonna actually raise this up to 100. Calculate. So according to that, if you have a $10,000 bankroll, you should be betting $365 on each game using full Kelly Criterion. If you were using, but here's the problem: is Kelly Criterion is maximally aggressive, and not every game we're going to bet is going to be minus 105. Also, 53% is a very, very good season. Like, I'm going to go back and look at, we've had 10 out of 164 people hit at 53%. So even 53% is considered relatively high, but it helps you decide on how much you would bet based off of your edge. But this edge it's going to be different for every person. So knowing what your exact edge is very, very difficult and very hard to be useful.
what makes you depressed? Losing a game, it's big part of it. Big part of it. So you're going to lose almost half. So think of it that way.
Yeah, it's why bankroll management is so important. Like if you spend, let's say you've got $1,000 in your bankroll and you bet 500 on this game and you lose, like, yeah, it sucks. It sucks big time, but like you shouldn't be betting 50% of your bankroll on anything. Bitcoin prices make you depressed. What's the price of Bitcoin right now? 23,000 Canadian. It's pretty good. It's gone up quite a bit. It's actually at its pretty close to its highest point right now. That's impressive. It's almost, it looks like it's really damn close to reaching the highs that it had back at the end of 2017, start of 2018. Oh, it's being profitable in sports betting is difficult. I will say that it is more likely that you could be a positive sports bettor than you could betting almost any other casino game.
Oh no, it is. It's without question. Without question. There's no way of beating the other games other than like instruments of cheating. It's one of the only things you can actually beat. Gambling in general is difficult, right? But there's no table game you can actually beat. You know what I mean? And if there is an exploitative thing, they cover it up instantly, right? Like they'll figure it out through why they're losing. Sports betting is one of the things you can beat, but there's so many there's there's enough humps that you can make profit, but it does depend on the public reciprocating, right? You need people to be wrong for you to make a living, people to be losers and for you to be a winner. That's the ecology of it.
Yeah, you're just a leech on the book. That's what we
Yes, a
are.
leech.
We're leeches on the book. We're just telling
Exactly.
you which side the book is taking exposure on, and we're just making people aware of it. The other thing too is like you're not going to become rich betting sports, but what
Well,
sports betting, it's very 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 unlikely.
very, very, very unlikely.
Where what you have to look at sports betting as is an alternative investment. So like you can go in the stock market and make pretty safe like 5 to 10% year after year over the long term. But for sports betting, maybe you can make 20% a year betting an NFL
12.
season. Like you just don't know. Like it's one of those things where you're gonna have a year where you lose 50%. There's gonna be a year where you make 100%. But can you beat that? Maybe, maybe not. It's not something to be depressed about. You got to be smart with your money and do whatever you think is best with the
It's like
money you
anything,
have.
though. Over a lifetime,
Totally.
though, you could make over a lifetime. If you were a really modest bettor, you could make $1 million or $2 million. That's not unreasonable, but that's the same as like you might make an investment if you were really savvy with money. Most of us aren't, though. Let's be honest. But I mean, a lifetime, 50 years, you could do it. I mean, it depends how aggressive you are too.
There's a lot easier things you can do with money
Yes.
than betting on sports. A lot of things that are way less time consuming. So it can be depressing in that realm, but there is opportunity to make money in sports betting if you do it properly. But most people don't do it properly, so a lot of people are losing money.
Well, that's the only reason that there is opportunity to make money.
Yep, at 100%.
Because there's always opportunity to make money when one party does it for entertainment and the other one doesn't. So there's a reason you can make a living playing cards, and I can attest to that. Some people go there for entertainment purposes. Some people go there to make a living. As long as you satisfy that entertainment purpose for those people that lose often, then everybody's happy. They've got their entertainment. You've got your groceries for the month, and off you go, right? So it's the same thing with sports betting. If you get torn up about Team X or Team Y, you're a Patriots fan, you're a Rams fan, all that stuff has to go out the window. It doesn't mean anything. You're loyal to the dollar. Because at the end of the day, like everything counts. A backdoor cover would be awesome, Josh.
There's a Schultz catch, and he looked like he picked up at least 12 yards.
XBL emotional about his $3 investment, but it's live. It's live. I don't know if you're going to get 4 carries. It's going to be tough here. You almost need a turnover.
Well, quick scores. Dallas still has all 3 timeouts, which is good.
Yeah.
It's just about whether Dobbins gets the playing time.
Screen. Wow, I don't know if they're going to call a flag on that hold earlier. I got to be honest, though. Strategy-wise, I would use Gus the Bus. That would be me if I was Baltimore. No.
Has LJ Fort always played on the Ravens?
No.
I'm going to pull up his R lads and see. He actually started on Cleveland, Denver, Seattle, Cincinnati, New England, Pittsburgh, Philly, and Baltimore. So that was a dumb question. I felt like he didn't play on the Ravens though, but I just couldn't remember him playing on.
Where do you remember him best? The Steelers for me.
To be honest, like I don't remember him on any of these teams. Strangely enough,
I was a big Browns fan back then too. Like as far as following, and I don't remember him. Well, that's called contrarian theory, Swole, and that's something we're big proponents of. Is we understand where the sharp money is, and we usually try and be a parasite more or less, and just follow it because there are handicappers, but that are profitable that can beat opening and closing lines. It's it's so difficult, but those guys have usually extremely large resources and to dedicate and time, right? So they also have complex math models, better than anything you're going to be able to find, on Reddit or something like that. But those types of guys, for them to keep their whole thing afloat is they have to bet an obscene amount of money, right? Because they only make about at the highest levels, they're only going to make about 2 to 3% per trade, right? So think about for those guys that are betting, the guys at the highest end are betting about 40,000 a game. So they're going to make what's 3%? I'm going to make about 1,200 a game. Maybe less than that, maybe about 1,000 a game. So if you think of it in that term, in those terms, that how much volume they need to bet, but $40,000 is so much money because the average rec better bets about $40 a game. So think about it. If you can figure out where that guy puts his money and you act very quickly, you're going to be nice touchdown, Cooper. You can be profitable by kind of being a leech more or less, and that's probably the best, most cost-effective way of doing it. But that can be really difficult in its own. Like we've been doing it for years and we still have a tough time understanding. We used to handicap, but we found it very cumbersome because the amount of hours that even two guys would have to do to make it profitable is unbelievable. And honestly, your results are often worse than doing what I just said. I know it's demoralizing when you put it that way, but that was a great catch, first of all. But that just is the way of it. So market betting for you and I and the average Joe. It's probably the best. It's easily the best way of going.
And there's a theory going forward that the more sports gambling becomes legalized and the more squares that decide to start betting, the better market plays will be. So
there's a chance.
Welcome,
so
Tim.
Don't forget.
Nice to see you.
The guys that I mentioned that are betting those massive amounts a game, they're not. Those guys don't prop up every day. Whereas when everything becomes legalized, it's going to take a few years for some of those guys to catch on, right? Because it's just like poker. It's the sharks are going to eat about as much chum as they possibly can, but it'll be slow to react. So if everything gets legalized, there's a great chance that there's going to be a lot of the market will be larger, so market plays will have more weight. Point in case, when you bet on like a low volume college basketball game, the market plays mean a lot less because there's so few bets. Because some of those games have 500 bets, whereas this game probably had 25,000, which is a reasonable sample to draw conclusions from. Not that you're going to get it right every time, but I like how we talk about everything but the game in front of us. Whoa. Dallas has a chance at backdooring here. If they just had one Zerline field goal, then they'd be covering.
The plus 10.5 right now on the live line is minus 194 at Pinnacle. The OU is set at over 44.5, so the under on pace to hit at the moment. Yeah, exactly. No one cares about the game, just how it's scripted.
And it's there's a lot of wisdom in that sentence in a weird way. Well, we appreciate the love, XBL. So
Yeah, I appreciate it. That's really, really nice of you to say. And we're just, it's a group of, it's not just the fat guy and I, it's the entire group. Everyone's trying to make everybody better.
And sharing ideas, because there's a lot of theories that we don't, we don't even think of, right? Like people posit ideas, and it's a great way, because don't forget, we got it, like humans are pretty bad at stuff. Like we're not good at stuff. There's a lot of unrealized opportunity. I'm sure we haven't just found it yet, right? So because people try and beat people dedicate a lot. Like we've dedicated almost all, like 90% of our effort to beating NFL spreads, right? And that's very difficult.
Yeah, XBL, we're going to be live again on Thursday for the Pats-Rams game, which should be good.
No way. No way. He had it on the ground.
It's difficult when the Dallas player comes up with the ball, though. It sure looks like he's got it.
Like, what? He's clearly got it. That was a good sell job by the Cowboys. Well, usually, Tim, the biggest one for me, if it's too good to be true, go the other way. Yeah, I'm not surprised it's Edwards.
Oh, this might change every carry like they did earlier. I smell a turnover.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tim, learning when not to bet is almost more important than anything else too. I made 2 bets this week.
What'd you go?
1-1 because I lost on the Chargers. I took the Chargers really, really early, and then I can't even remember what was the Sunday night game? Denver won on Denver.
Denver. Yeah, that was a good one.
But technically I went 2-2, and I ended up half a unit up because we did the Denver money line and then back on the Chiefs
arbitrage.
Yeah.
Man, Lamar is slippery. Holy. I think I got to mention, too, we went on a tangent about handicapping. I'm going to add to it with more. Think about it. Everyone thinks they have think about how everyone feels about their opinions. Oh, this player does this player does that. How do you know your opinions are better than somebody else's? You don't. And the other thing too is you don't know the real information. Is X player taking it seriously in practice? Does player X have an injury that nobody knows? Is he in the trainer's room half the time? Does he have something serious going on in his real life that's affecting his mental state? There's all those types of things that make handicapping almost impossible. So it just it's very, very, very difficult. Well, that's a good indicator, XBL, because usually, like, when we get trashed in the comment sections the most is when we have our best weeks. Because when those guys feel
confident enough to tell us off, then it's usually it's been a good thing. It's been one of the most interesting psychological things I've ever experienced.
Most predictive. because it's because they're squares. They're uninformed people, generally speaking. Not that we're the greatest of all time, but when those guys feel obligated to tell us how bad we are, it's usually a great indication that I'm getting really good value.
I haven't even looked at the comments yet on the video today. I'm
Other
hoping that there's
everyone likes us again. I'm worried we're gonna have a bad week. They disagree on the Vikings Bucks pick. I got 2 comments about that. So that makes me like the Bucks a little bit more.
Oh, here's one. Bro, the only reason he picked Arizona Cardinals to beat the Giants because he's a Redskin fan, and 49ers are going to easily beat the Redskins. Giants winning, baby. So there's a Giants fan who is riding high off a 4-game win streak.
Yeah. Accuse me of being a Redskins fan. That's a first.
This person doesn't see the Bucks winning. I think that's fair, though. I don't think there's anything wrong with.
No, I don't think it was
that.
rude or anything. Yeah, I mean you can like them, Tim, but how much do you like them? What price do you need? What price is attractive to you? You know what I mean? That's the closest I've seen to him taking a hit.
So there's a lot of public confidence on the Giants, especially from Giants fans. It's interesting to keep that in mind as the week goes along.
Not insane amounts of money necessarily, Swole, but money discrepancy. So I mean, we're kind of giving away the secret sauce a little bit, but it's fine. It's fine.
And it's the reason why it's so hard for us to answer too is that every sport has a different market. Like there's different amounts of bets. Like there's so much information that is there's a lot of uncertainty. That's why it's best to do your own research when it comes to that kind of stuff. But think about it like the books make their VIG. They make their 10% off every bet. Once in a while they take a little more risk on certain bets than others, and those are the ones that we want to jump on and be that we want to get the 1% and the books can keep their 9%, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. I feel like almost a closet Eagles fan, Mud, considering how much I've backed them this year. I think Saints have a chance. Here, you wouldn't take Saints at 100-1, Tim? Yeah, you would. There you go. 100-1. Yeah, you would. Everybody's got a price, as Ted DiBiase says.
You know who I would have...
1,000-1, Tim. 1,000.
I would have loved to have Chiefs plus 44.5 this week. But boy, would I have egg on my face.
Yeah. Oh, I can tell you, like we can tell you, but you got the thing is, 1,000-1 means they do have a chance. It's 1 in 1,000. But the thing is, like, if you lean on us too much, don't forget everything we tell you is not 100% right. It is as far as we know, but like you got to kind of like peel your own onion a little bit, come to your own conclusions, test your own stuff, right? Because some of the stuff we reiterate isn't going to be. Like it could even be outdated to a point, right? That's kind of how it is. So what I think the best way to do it is to compile your own data. There's plenty of resources out there. In fact, here, shoot us an email and there you go. Shoot us an email, like poke around. There's resources like the Action Network. There's other ones I'm sure we don't even know of through the internet because you want to know where the market started, where it finished, and how it moved along, and then you want to try and be able to use that to predict the future as far as how the market ends up. Because you're betting the number, you're never betting the team, right? And just kind of like I said, there's a price for everybody. Tim doesn't think it's going to happen at all, but at 1,000-1, there you go.
Well, congrats, Mickey. Another winning day.
And I bet you Mickey doesn't know anything about any of the college basketball teams he bet on today. You know, obviously I'm taking a great sample of 6 games, but
unless he was on Bumberbean.
yeah, unless you're on the formidable Bumberbean. Not a damn thing. That's right. And there's something that feels good about that. That's pretty interesting. I got moonshine pickles my girlfriend bought me. I haven't drank in a while. Or Pepperdine. Well, yeah, I don't know. I only learned about Pepperdine yesterday. So that's actually a beauty about college basketball. Oh, Jay-Z, I had Baltimore on St. Ave. I never felt good about it. Well, yeah, I can see you never mentioned it during the broadcast, but yeah.
Let's I know I did do some college basketball work. Let me pull up because I know I wrote down every single team. There was definitely some teams I've never heard of.
Bumberbean, yeah. I love that. That was one of my favorite things. I got to see Jackson's name.
There's a let me read off every weird college basketball team I find. There's Alcorn State.
I like that. It sounds cool.
Arkansas Pine Bluff.
Oh yeah, who doesn't know Arkansas Pine Bluff?
Texas A&M Corpus Christi.
Nah, that's not that weird.
There's Bethune-Cookman.
Yeah.
Saint Bonaventure. Shout out to Saint Bonaventure.
I've literally bet on every one of these teams at some point in my life. Get the incarnate word.
There's Canisius.
Yeah.
A Chaminade. I'd like, fat guy, I'll give you $1 if you know where Chaminade is.
I don't know where it is. I don't know what it is. Oh, okay. The name is I got Bumberbean plus 20.5.
There is Coppin State. Charleston Southern. Chaminade's in Hawaii, according to Mickey.
Quinnipiac. I like that. Little native name. Into it.
There's a college called Fairleigh Dixon.
Okay, that's one I've never heard.
Fordham.
Fordham, yeah.
Furman.
That's not that crazy. Furman, yeah.
Gardner-Webb.
Gardner-Webb's a good one.
Houston Baptist.
There we go.
Purdue Fort Wayne. Lipscomb.
Beaver College had to change its name to Ursinus College. What?
Your sinus.
Winthrop. Kennesaw State. These are great.
Here's a good one. This is CFL-esque. There's somehow 2 Loyolas. There's Loyola, Illinois, and Loyola MD. Is that Maryland?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a college just named Lamar.
Yep. Mississippi Valley State, Maryland Eastern Shore. These are great, man. I love this stuff.
McNeese State.
SIU Edwardsville.
Morehead State.
Oh, okay. Stephen F. Austin. Dun, 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 dun. Shh.
Yeah, there's Quinnipiac.
All right, that's enough. We got to
Val.
save some material for you. Valparaiso.
Yeah, I was just gonna say
I already know
Valparaiso.
that one. I knew you were going to get to it.
There's Texas Rio Grande Valley.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Sacred Heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone already mentioned it. Zapstead Presbyterian. This was also my nickname in elementary school. Oral Roberts. There's
God, I love 40 numbers, and they got 2 of them there. I want to go to Pepperdine. I've already said that. Sign me up.
don't steal my last name. Pepperdine's the best looking college. There's Longwood. We already have a Littlewood. Longwood U. Dylan Roberts got the big wood.
No, not here. Size can be deceiving or accurate in Big Rise case.
Have a good night, Tony. Tony Meatballs with the name to make us hungry.
I should make some Greek meatballs. Keftedes. Really good last time. Hey, it was lots of fun, Jay-Z. Catch you on Thursday.
Yeah, congrats on the win. Did the Ravens have an injury? Why did they just take a timeout?
I don't know.
The Ravens only rushed 3. Looks like the live lines are down now for the day. A Baltimore cover is going to mean cash only, no checks, wins the contest, going 13-2. Very impressive week. Smart to pull to run the draw there at the end of the game. So that's week 13 in the books, and we just have just under 48 hours until the next game starts. So a very short break for all of us for the next week. Have a good one.
Constant
XBL.
football. Cheers,
AP.
gentlemen.
Hell yeah, Indy. XBL said, take care, everyone. Best of luck on your bets. Appreciate it. What a weird handshake. You see that? I actually missed it. I was reading the chat.
Yeah. I was reading an email.
Well, this game's in the book, so we will catch you guys all.
I'm going to redo fantasy rules real quick for Mickey. All right, Mickey. So, there's playoffs. It's the team that you have. You can pick up players. It's business as usual. The other guy's playing a consolation bowl. So usually that's the loser gets a negative prize. That doesn't happen this year. So they're just playing more or less for bragging rights, I guess. So they can also pick up players and add players that people that aren't in the that are in the consolation bowl rather than the regular playoffs like you and I. It goes until week 16, and then we're going to be taking the top 4 from each league.
So week 14 is very, very important. Week 14, if you're in the playoffs, like that's the week you want to win.
Because we're going to be taking 4 from each side, and regardless of the regular fantasy playoffs, which conclude in on week 16, we're going to be taking the 4 best teams from each side, or the 4 highest finishing rather, and starting a redraft at the start of the playoffs after week 17. So and then the grand prize will be awarded after that. And those secondary playoffs that we'll be doing at the start of the regular NFL playoffs, we'll do a redraft of your entire fantasy team. It won't be through ESPN. It'll be through something that Big Rye and I set up, because standard fantasy never enters the playoffs. It always ends on week 16, sometimes the 17 if you're in a really bizarre league with a lot of teams. But the grand prize fantasy will be sorry, I'm being so confusing. Will start when the NFL players start, and it'll be NFL playoffs start, and it will be a redraft. So just the top 4 from each league. So I hope that made sense. I don't know if it did.
I think it made a little sense. Does Mickey, if you're still here, do you have questions about what parts we can clarify? I'm super, super excited for the playoff, like the NFL playoffs. So from week 18 to 21, I'm very, very excited for that playoffs, because that's I find a lot more interesting.
Yeah, you'll be fine. Trust me, if you just focus, I'll tell you what, just focus on the regular fantasy playoffs, and then the secondary tournament will explain the rules when that one starts. But pretty much you gotta be in the semifinals of yours to move on. Anyways, I got a header, gents.
All right. Sounds good, guys. Catch you all later. Have a good night.